On the news tonight, I am ready for task ahead. Tinubu speaks after Paris vacation. Avoid treacherous journeys, FG cautions Nigerians in Sudan. FG seals Ayocha Ayu's property in Benue. Why 2023 census should be suspended, Benue government. World Malaria Day, make treatment free for children, expert tells governments. And on sport, on the 17th AFCON, Golden Eaglet to undergo MRI test today, which must have been done. Now the news in detail. President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who left the country on March 21st for Paris on a vacation after a hectic campaign and election season, returned to the country on Monday. A statement by his media aide, Tunde Rahman, disclosed that his principal was received by associates and supporters who thronged the presidential wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, where his plane touched down. The president-elect was accompanied with his wife, Senator Remy, and son, Sheyi. Addressing the tumultuous crowd who followed him home, the president-elect said, I'm happy to be back and I've rested. I'm refreshed and I'm ready for the task ahead. Forget about what the rumor mill may have told you. I'm strong, very, very strong. Asked about his plans for the country, he said he has been consulting and planning with a view to putting together a strong team so he could hit the ground running once he assumes office on May 29th. Among those at the airport to receive him were Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima, House of Representative Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila, as well as governors Simon Lalong, Plateau, and Abubakar Sani Bello, Niger, former Borno State Governor Ali Modu Sharif. Also at the airport were former Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commissions, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, APC Deputy National Chairman, North, Senator Abubakar Kyari, Deputy National Chairman, South, Barrister Emma Eneku, and National Women Leader, Dr. Betta Edu. There were also Senators Barau Jibril, Adeola Olamide Konyayi, Okpeyemi Bamidele, Dayo Adeyeye, Sabi Abdullahi, and Adelere Oriolowo, as well as Secretary of the recently dissolved Presidential Campaign Council, Honorable James Faleke, Honorable Baba Jimmy Benson, and Mr. Bayo Ononuga, Director of Media and Publicity in the dissolved Presidential Campaign Council. Going on to the next story. The federal government has emphasized with Nigerians stranded in Sudan, but warned them against making treacherous journeys in a bid to return home. The director overseeing the Office of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Janet Olisa, and his Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Nasser Sani Burzo, gave the advice in a Tuesday joint statement. The ministers therefore urged parents to advise their wards that while concerted efforts are being made to evacuate them, the students should endeavor to remain calm and maintain constant communication with officials of the Nigerian Embassy in Sudan for instructions and update, the statement reads. While emphasizing that Nigerians stranded in the North African country, the ministry reiterated that they are working with relevant authorities to make the evacuation happen. The Honorable Ministers, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development expressed concern over the dire humanitarian situation in Sudan and emphasized with the entire civilian population in the country, including the Nigerian students and other members of the Nigerian community, caught up in the ongoing crisis between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary rapid support forces, they said. The Honorable Minister notes with concern that some of these students are trying to find their way to contiguous borders of either Egypt, Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Chad on their own. Moving on to the next story. The National Environmental Standard and Regulations Enforcement Agency, NESEREA, has reportedly sealed a property belonging to the embattled National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Dr. Ayocha Ayu, in Makurdi, Benue State. It was gathered that Ayu's property sealed by the federal government agency is located at Paddy Peel Street's George's Quarters. According to The Guardian, the property was shut for the owner's failure to tender relevant documents relating to site plans on the property at the agency. Given reasons for the selling of the property, a source told the publication it is an academic institution. However, Special Advisor to the PDP Chairman on Media and Publicity, Simon Imobo-Swam, denied knowledge of the selling of any of his principal's property by any agency. He promised to find out and revert. Effort to obtain clarification on the development from the organization agency coordinator in the state, Daniel Iyomog, failed. This is coming about a week after the Akure High Court, presided by Justice Pochi, shifted the date for hearing and the substantive suit seeking to remove Ayu from office as the national chairman of the PDP till April 28, 2023. Justice Pochi also withdrew from the case and announced he would return the case file to the Chief Judge of Benue State to reassign to another judge as he is embarking on a national assignment at the Elections Petitions Tribunal. Going on to the next story. The Benue State government has cited the reason the National Population and Housing Census slated for May 2023 should not hold. The Benue State Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, on Tuesday said a lot of people and communities would not be captured if the exercise holds as planned. Correspondent report that a few weeks ago, Governor Samuel Ortom urged the federal government to postpone the census until the internally displaced persons, IDPs, in Benue and other states of the Federation are returned to their homes. Executive Secretary of NEMA, Dr. Emmanuel Shio, who stressed the call for the suspension of the census while addressing journalists in Makurdi, said it was necessary to shift the exercise so that many people would not be disenfranchised. We're calling for suspension of the census for now because we suspect that if the federal government continues, a lot of people will be let out of their homes and communities will not be captured. There is a big challenge with that census that we are working on. Remember, the census is not only about counting human beings, but their houses as well. So the big challenge is that the people are displaced, they are in the camps, he said. Shio, after the briefing, distributed food items to the IDPs across the state, noting that the distribution exercise for this month would cover all displaced people in both official and unofficial camps. The summer boss listed the items for distribution to include bags of rice, cartons of noodles, condiments, tomatoes, Maggi, salt, gari yam, among others. Going on to the next story. A public health parasitologist at the Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, Professor Dennis Aribodo, has said the high cost of malaria drugs is pushing most families to the use of concussions for treatment of the disease. Aribodo called on the government at all levels to declare the treatment of malaria free for children in all public health facilities in the country. The public health expert said these in Akure on Monday as part of activities marking this year's World Malaria Day, which takes place on April 25th. Aribodo, who is also the founder of Malaria Eradication and Self-Health Initiative of Nigeria and the Southeast Zonal Coordinator of the Civil Society Network in Malaria Control, Immunization and Nutrition, said there was a need not only to control the spread of malaria infections, but to also eradicate it completely because it has resulted in many preventable deaths. The people in the villages do not have money to treat their children. There's a resort to herbal concoctions, which contribute to kidney problems among children because some of those local herbs concoctions are not regulated. And to the next story. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, wishes to disclaim a trending video of some persons wearing red jackets similar to the ones used by officers and men of the agency for operational purposes operating in a minibus. The agency has so far established, following a series of public inquiries, that a video with screenshot pictures attached to this statement is a skit and not a video of officers of the agency on duty. The skit maker has also been confirmed to be one Matthew C. Eze, who lives in the Lekki area of Lagos. The confusion this video has created in the minds of members of the public underscores the need for some social media content producers to show restraint, responsibility, and decorum in how they misuse paraphernalia of law enforcement officers to avoid misconceptions and insinuations. The agency will, however, continue to monitor the activities of this particular skit maker with a view to establishing his motives at the latest is second in the misuse of NDLEA's official jackets. To the next story from Abuja. A violent clash erupted between Abuja indigenous people and Hausa youth in Gwarimpa, 3rd Avenue weekend. According to sources, the fight broke out when a group of Hausa youth who reportedly sold illicit drugs attempted to burgle and rob the household of a ward councillor. The development, it was gathered, infuriated the indigenous people, and the situation quickly escalated into a full-blown clash. Eyewitnesses reported that the violence resulted in the death of 3 people, with several others injured and cars vandalized. On Saturday night, security personnel were called in to quell the unrest, and the situation was temporarily brought under control. However, fighting resumed yesterday. I was at home, as he said. Another resident who wished to remain anonymous said, "The situation was very tense and we were all afraid for our lives. We heard about 3 people had been killed and there was chaos everywhere." Meanwhile, stakeholders in the area are calling for calm and urging parties to refrain from violence while security agencies investigate the incident. Sources disclosed that personnel of FCT Police Command have deployed to the scene to restore normalcy in the area. "We took stand against drug lords," says lawmaker whose house was attacked. Meanwhile, former Speaker of the Legislative Branch of Abuja Municipal Area Council, Issa Baushe, yesterday confirmed that his house was attacked by suspected drug dealers in Gwarimpa, 3rd Avenue, Abuja. Speaking to Vanguard, Baushe said, "It is not a religious or tribal fight, but a struggle to rescue the community from the activities of drug lords living within the community." Moving on from Abuja to Ondo State. A 50-year-old farmer, Olaoluwa Olorunfemi, was on Sunday night killed in a fresh attack on Agoyimbo at Ala Forest Reserve in Akure North local government area of Ondo State after an invasion by suspected terror herdsmen on his farm. Also, 8 other persons in the community were wounded in the violent attack. News band gathered that the others wreaked havoc on people who are mostly farmers in the middle of the night without any challenge. The spokesperson for the community, Samuel Ololafe, who spoke with reporters in Akure, the state capital, on Monday, said the heavily armed herders also looted the property of the victim. He explained that the situation forced many residents to flee their homes for fear of being caught in another attack. He added that the herdsmen resorted to sacking the community after their treaty to be allowed into the community where their cattle to graze was torn down by the youths and elders of the area. They do perpetual their devil act at midnight, cut away our goods, destroy our farm produce, and use machete to people to the extent they will land in the hospital. Ololafe said it was the second time the herders launched an attack on the agrarian community. He revealed that the assailants had earlier attacked the community in March, adding that many of the residents had lost loved ones and property worth millions. Ololafe asked Governor Rotimi Akeredolu to urgently come to the aid of the community over the fresh attacks on the residents. From Ondo, we go to the foreign story. President Joe Biden announced Tuesday he is running for re-election in 2024, plugging at a record age of 80 into a ferocious new White House campaign to finish the job. Energy generation and every generation has a moment where they have had to stand up for democracy, to stand up for their fundamental freedom, Biden wrote on Twitter along with a video. "I believe this is ours. That is why I am running for re-election as President of the United States. Join us, let's finish the job." After a series of big legislative wins and momentous foreign policy struggles in his first 2 years in office, Biden has no real challenger from within the Democratic Party. But in a campaign that may result in a rematch of the 2020 election against Donald Trump, he is expected to face constant and fierce scrutiny over his age. The veteran Democrat would be 86 by the end of a second term, even if a medical exam in February found him fit to execute the duties of the presidency. Many, including in his own voter base, believe he is too old. An NBC News poll released over the weekend found that 70% of Americans, including 51% of Democrats, believe he should not run. 69% of all respondents who said he shouldn't run cited concerns over his age as a major or minor reason. Going on to sports story. The Golden Eaglet of Nigeria will undergo the mandatory MRI test on Tuesday today in Algiers. The MRI test is ascertained actual ages of all the players that will be part of the 2023 Africa Under-17 Cup of Nations in Algeria. Information gathered from the team's media officer, Francis Achi, that the players and their officials will likely travel to Constantine after the MRI test later today. The Golden Eaglet will play all their group games at the Mohammed Al Stadium, Constantine. The team arrived in Algeria on Sunday evening and had their first training session at the training pitch of the Nelson Mandela Stadium in Algiers on Monday. Onduka Ubadi's side will face Zambia, Morocco, and South Africa in Group B. That ends the world news this hour from BGI TV Currents. Before we go, some major headlines. I am ready for task ahead. Tinubu speaks after Paris vacation. Avoid treacherous journeys. FG cautions Nigerians in Sudan. FG seals Iyocha Ayu's property in Benue. Why 2023 census should be suspended. Benue government. World Malaria Day, make treatment free for children, expert tells government. Lastly, on sports, Golden Eaglet to undergo MRI test scan. For more updates on YouTube, our handle is BGI TV Current. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell. Select option all to access all of our broadcasts. On Facebook, Gbagyi Imo with Alawi Adebayo. Please like and follow the page. For other placement of your goods and services, coverage of events and functions, please dial the phone number streaming on your screen. Thank you for watching. I am Morire Rabila Lawal. Good evening.